Good afternoon, and what is a warm, bright and blustery day. It is Tuesday, the 18th of April. I've got a nice hot cup of tea. I have cat who is not ours, who wants some attention, and of course I have a box, to unbox. Oh, he's gone. So I have already started opening this box, and what I've pulled out so far is filling in the blanks, which is a guide to populating hex crawls, and a monster book, which is Megadungeon Monster Manual, and then Into the Wild, a high-level resource for OSR games, a companion to that, and then that, what I have got is, easier, is Darrowdeep, a classic fantasy Megadungeon by Greg Gillespie. Now, the thing is, this is also by Greg Gillespie. This is a monster book which collects monsters from this book, Darrowdeep, and other Megadungeons written by Greg Gillespie, including most famously Barrow Maze. So, Darrowdeep, a classic fantasy Megadungeon for any old school role-playing game. Gungathol lies in ruin. Over 250 years ago, an evil host rose from the Underdark and pushed the dwarves out of their ancestral mountains. Since that time, orcs and worse have defiled their sacred halls. In recent days, the high dwarven clerics cast their runestones and read the portents. The time has come to retake Gungathol. Are you brave or foolish enough to enter Darrowdeep? So, there we go. And let's say this is for the OSR, but of course, you know what that means. It means conversing with any number of old school Renaissance retro clones, and we've all got our favourites. So we open up. Nice piece of artwork there. And table of contents. And introduction, which says Darrowdeep is an exploration style Megadungeon designed for classic fantasy role-playing games. Players start with first level characters and continue through the mid and high level play. And begins, we've got the town of Hamlet, and that's a starting base for which the players can basically go back and forth to investigate the dungeon. And we've got details of the Lost Kingdom of Darrowdeep, or Long Kingdom of Darrow, going along with the Gazetteer, history, social, economic structure, and so on, geography, all setting the scene. And that's kind of like a classic kind of setup for a dungeon, or certainly a dungeon and wilderness location. You go back to B2, Keep on the Borderlands, and you've got obviously to Keep on the Frontier, Keep on the Borderlands, and associated dungeons nearby, and it details the wilderness in between. So yeah, detailing all these locations. Some really nice artwork in here as well, and I'm thoroughly impressed by the dungeons, sort of by the content of Greg Gillespie. They're really nicely laid out, really clean. And here we have a map of the Lost Kingdom of Darrow, complete with the location guide down the side, all referencing, just to flip back to the earlier section in the book, and then with the deities of the Lost Kingdom. So plenty of background for the game master to bring into play. The towns and villages, and then we have details of places of note, starting with Hamlet or Hamlet. Obviously, it's a little hamlet called Hamlet. That's a really nice map, and it has a sort of like Northern European, even Scandinavian feel to it. The other option is to think of this, dwarves as often, in almost classic cliche fantasy, they're presented as sort of like from the north, whether it's the north of England and the north, it's further north, Scotland, Scandinavia. This kind of fits. but we've got a discussion of the Dwarven worldview. So you could easily have a campaign where, you know, the player, one of the Dwarven player characters wants to go back in. Oh, sorry, keeps falling down. Just put it back up there. And you've got the personalities of Hammer, and this here is more like a Scandinavian feel to it, with these really fantastic thumbnail portraits. So you can play up on the sort of like the Scandinavian Viking thing if you want. And you've got the campaign begins, and you've got a list of hooks and so on to involve the player characters, get them, you know, interested in playing and following this up. And then we've got the Darrowdeep, basically description. We've got a hex map of Darrowdeep, discussion of its various element aspects, so secret passages, possible dead ends, elevations, and the impression you're getting here is not is with these stairs, and the way they're broken is you're thinking of the classic dungeon in Lord of the Rings, you know, where Gandalf faces off against the Borog at the end. So yeah, so you know, that's the I mean, in literature, in fantasy literature, that's kind of like the example of the classic dungeon. So we've got different stats for various creatures. So, you know, various war bands that the player characters might run into. And these fantastic illustrations of abandoned dwarven halls. We don't even have anything sort of like necessarily the first section of a map yet of what the dungeons levels look like, but you're definitely getting a good feel for them. You know, and we've got rules in here for short and long rest in Darrowdeep, the Hall of Records, climbing and descending rules, you know, for where you've got broken stairs. New treasure types, and then you've got Darrowdeep factions, and in some ways the factions are what help bring a dungeon to life, because they're the ones that have already lived there, and what might happen, you know, how they react to the player presence of the player characters against the player characters and between each other as well, what they want. And then we've got discussion here of the end game, the long dark of Darrowdeep. How deep do the player characters go? What secrets do they reveal? And then we get into the entrances. It's just basically room descriptions so far. Just flipping through those. So basically different, you know, different points of entry. And yet, no yet sight of a map yet at the different entries. You've got, you know, you know, entrance B, ruins of Caer Calec. Entrance, so where I see Goldar's Gate. So entrance D, Forgotten Stairway of Calbander. I'll probably pronounce that wrong. There we go. Entrance E, Frost Gate. So getting in is not going to be a problem. You've just got multiple different options there. You know, quite a number of them. Entrance F, Citadel of Sleet. You know, the High Gate of Gunfell is the only above ground dwarven structure at Gungithal. You know, and I presume that's going to be Sleet, Great Dragon. And dwarven chest there, you know, just so very different from what you expect from something like oh, it's a dungeon chest. It's either going to be wrapped in iron, or you know, just plain metal bound in metal or wood bound in iron. So yeah, and here we are. We're just getting into the various locations, going deeper and deeper. I'm just going to flip forward because you know see what I can find, because this is all room descriptions. And we've got part 2, glittering caves. Part 3, section P3, Darrowdeep, the Calistoa, some of the factions, the Black Mines, and so on. You've got things like, you've got like a table, random Calistoa pouch contents. And then facing off against a troll, and yeah, that's you know, that sort of thing. You're in a big dungeon. That's clearly inspired by the scene in Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings, where you know they face off against the troll, comes looking for them. You know, after the fall of a Took scene. So basically encountering the Durgar. Say it is windy out here. And we've got things like more tables, Hall of Stone, random unique table. So random details just to make it, you know, what you might find. A skittering noise to the east, stone grinding on stone, then silence. Just random sort of like noises and flavour and feel. And then we've got various tables to support it, you know, monster tables, cavern or geomorph tiles, I'm going to come monster treasure, magical runestones, gas traps and whatnot, things like that. That's really fantastic. Just that's the traps illustration. Just you know, clueless. Oh, we're going forward. What's this? Oh no! And it's the boar falling, you know, swinging towards them all. Secondary encounter special features. So lots of detail here that you can bring into a game. And then a guide to interpret the results, because there's lots of tables in here for creating random content. But we've got any random generation requires referee interpretation. This happens in 3 parts. You've got a guide there. A new relic, Hammer of the Dwarvish Lords. And new magical items. It's the Shattering Gauntlet of Gendothor, CX of Bergen-Noth, you know, all pointing towards sort of like the northern European feel. A complete guide to the Dwarven runestones. You know, runestone and climbing. The climb rune. This stone allows the bearer to climb as per a potion of climbing. So it's got its own magic system, and even it has its own Dwarven rings of power. So the inspiration for this is obviously, you know, very much Lord of the Rings and its big dungeon. And of course you've got new monsters there, many of which are sort of like also included in the Megadungeon monster manual. But so, you know, but here we're quite detailed write-ups, including the Calistoa, you know, the replacement for the Kuatoa. We've got some pre-generated characters, and those are easily translated into the system of your choice. And then you rival adventuring parties to throw in, you know, because you're not the only one going into a dungeon. When it comes open, you know, other adventuring parties want to go in. A Darrowdeep character sheet as well. You know, it's really very well equipped. And then that's the back. And then we've got a Darrowdeep illustration book. And these are amazing. This is fantastic. I love this. I mean, I worked on a dungeon going back a few years, Dwarven-themed, the Megadungeon, and that had its own illustration books. You know, inspired by the classic illustration booklets you would get in the S series. So obviously, S2, so S1, well, basically Tomb of Horrors, and then S3, Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. You know, which got across just the weirdness and you know, just what the characters were seeing. You know, here we go. That's just fantastic. And again, a fallen dwarven lord there, just like Lord of the Rings. It just really has that feel. You know, just a dungeon corridor is just, you know, just brings that to life. And it's not colouring. It doesn't matter. It's really working in favour. You know, you show that to the players. They don't matter that it's black and white. That's such good artwork. So impressive. You know, and we've got Slovenly Troll random patron encounter. You know, table support at the back. So loads of tables, random magical runestones, and here we have the actual maps. We've got Darrowdeep map legend, Gungadothol map there. There's the overview, and then we have going down in the individual locations, level by level. Here are the entrances. This book would, you know, it's going to take a bit of effort to set this up, but this will supply plenty of gaming for years. I would think you would take you a couple of years to play through this and explore its depths. Then at the bottom we've got basically the mines. So I was thinking of Mines of Moria is what I'm thinking of. Is, you know, Moria is the classic Lord of the Rings dungeon, and it feels very much inspired by that. And that's no bad thing, because, you know, there have been 4 role-playing games based upon Lord of the Rings, and yet we don't have a Moria, you know, don't really have a Moria source book available at the moment. So yeah, these are little maps. And then we've got the random dungeomorphs. Now these are much like, I think, reminded of the Dwarven city from the Dragonlance series. You know, you abut these together, and you've got sort of like a Dwarven city locations, and you know, and you can detail these as you go along. And you've got blank tiles at the end if, you know, you as the game master want to create your own. Random primary passages, just, yeah, amazing, really amazing content. So yeah, that's Darrowdeep, a classic fantasy Megadungeon by Greg Gillespie. That looks great. If you're looking for a big Dwarven-themed dungeon in the classic sense, absolutely, this is a great choice, I think. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, do please click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you will see me out here with a box containing a book or game, which I will unbox and then chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do hit the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing of the Nook. Be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.